All right, now to some startling new details about former President Donald Trump's alleged criminal scheme to stay in power after losing the 2020 election, and some new reporting on what he might do if he loses again in November. In a court filing unsealed yesterday, special counsel Jack Smith argued the former president, quote, resorted to crimes as he sought to remain in power. And he outlines why the case should go forward despite the Supreme Court's ruling on presidential immunity. Federal trial attorney Robin Nunn joins us now to talk about this. So Robin, I think that one of the things that was interesting about the unsealed documents yesterday is for a lot of people who cover politics and even folks who are just trying to make up their mind about this election, there's a sense that, oh yeah, we knew this already. We know that the former president tried to subvert democracy back in 2020 on January the 6th. We knew some of the things that he said, the tweet that he posted that put the vice president, Mike Pence's life in danger. But it feels like when you see them all listed like this, the question becomes from a legal standpoint, does the special counsel, has he met the criteria to prosecute the president? Folks know this, and folks are going to have to make up their mind on how they choose to vote in November. But for the special counsel, legally speaking, does that meet the bar?
Yeah, I think this was a very interesting brief. To your point, I'm not sure that there were entirely surprises that came forth, but it is a very lengthy 165-page document, many of which are things that we already knew about. And I don't think a lot of us expected to see this sort of private criminal scheme coming back into emphasis last night. The Supreme Court obviously recently proclaimed that official acts are out of bound, that the president is immune. So much like police officers who are immune for certain acts, if they make a mistake on the job, the Supreme Court found that presidents also hold this sort of immunity. But Jack Smith and the government have not given up, and they have set forth what I would consider a pretty lengthy and detailed brief detailing exactly what issues they believe are not presidential acts, that are not official, and therefore there are things that he could be held criminally liable for in their opinion.
So Robin, is something as simple, I mean, one of the things that is in these documents, Jack Smith alleges that the former president told advisors before the 2020 election that he would simply declare victory before all the votes were counted, telling his children it doesn't matter if you win or you lose, or if you won or if you lost. That in of itself, could that be considered a crime?
That is what the government is arguing here. They're arguing that, the Supreme Court has obviously decided that official acts are out of bounds, but the things which you just described are not official acts. They're not Article 2 acts that under the Constitution would be considered protected. Going after Pence, going after encouraging people to riot, conversations on the plane about how we're just going to keep going and, take this election are things that are not official acts. And the government is encouraging Judge Chutkan, the judge in Washington, D.C., who released this filing last night and made parts of it public, that she's going to have the really difficult job of trying to decide which actions by Donald Trump were presidential and which ones were personal. And the problem for Donald Trump is the line between public service and self-service, is going to be tough to draw.
All right, Robin Nunn, always great to have you. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.